legends, and since I am the Australian MMA fan YouTuber, I think this story is sort of perfectly crafted for me and something that I should be covering. It turns out the Australian MMA fans have told the UFC to piss off with their ticket prices, and I absolutely do not blame them at all. The news was first dropped to us by Channel 7 down here in Australia, and it's been picked up by the wider MMA media, talking about how the UFC Perth card has been forced to slash its ticket prices after disappointing sales. And oh my god, they've gone and run with the image of Justin Tuffer. Why the hell would they do that? Because Justin Tuffer is one of the big selling points of this card. If in any way Justin Tuffer could be a selling point to anybody, I really don't know what the UFC were expecting here when it came to this Perth card and how Australian MMA fans would react to this. I'm going to break down exactly why the Australians are telling the UFC to go and eat bricks. Because when you look at the card and when you actually look at what you're getting for value for money, which I'm going to show you in this video, it is laughable that the UFC even tried to put this card together. And it's very rare that I get to say this, so I'm going to say it with my chest. I am so proud of Australians right now. So proud that all the boys down in Perth are telling the UFC to piss off and that this card isn't worth it. It's very rare as an Australian man to look at my countrymen and be like, oh, this was a massive win for us. We're actually doing the right thing here. So I'm so happy that the Perth boys are telling the UFC to piss off. It goes on to say, right, not everybody is excited for this UFC Perth card scheduled for this weekend from the RSC Arena in Perth, Australia. The latest UFC fight night was never intended to be the most talent-rich card. I know, imagine a fight night being a talent-rich card. There were 15 fights scheduled for the event, but it's a case of quantity over quality. Outside of the main event, which is an awesome fight. The main event is a fight, but there is really nothing of substance on the card out of that. And I love how it says not everybody is excited about the Perth card. I don't know anyone that's truly excited about the Perth card. I really don't. Like, speaking to the wider MMA community on my live streams, you guys just seem happy that the UFC is back because we had a bit of a break. But the fact that it's the Anzacs fighting in the UFC, no one really seems to care about that, which is so goddamn embarrassing and sad, right? For all of the UFC to do this to us, because the Australian-New Zealand region, we have some of the best fighters in the world. I mean, it's a bit braggadocious, but we really do. We've got Alexander Volkanovski, yeah? We've got JDM, right? We've got Israel Adesanya. We've got Kai Kara France. We've got Steve Erceg. We've got Robert Whittaker, one of the greatest fighters of all time. We've got Dan Hooker. We've got Tai Tuivasa. We've got Tai Tuivasa. We've got, I don't know if he's ranked, but you know, we've got all these fighters, and instead when you go and look at the Perth card, this is what they are giving to us, right? This is what they are giving to us. This is the Perth card that they are giving us. Colby Thickness, his second fight in the UFC. Jamie Malarkey, you know, he has a go. He has a go. Jonathan Malkeith. Yeah, he just got here. Yeah, Cam Rolston. He literally just got here. I think this is going to be his first fight in the UFC. He's right off the Contender Series. Navajo Sterling. He's been here for like 2 or 3 fights, right? Look at the main card. Jake Matthews and Jimmy Crute. I'm sorry, but their careers are coming to an end, you know what I mean? I'll take one of them on a main card, a Jake Matthews or a Jimmy Crute, but I'm not taking both on a main card. We got Jack Jenkins, who I love. I'm a big fan of Jack Jenkins. You'll see why as I break down it a little bit more further, but I'm a big fan of Jack Jenkins. Jack Jenkins is not a main card fighter yet, you know what I mean? Like, there is nothing happening on the card, and the arena has told the UFC, the Perth audience has told the UFC to kick rocks, because look at this. This is how many seats are still available. Just so we are very clear with each other, it's Friday. The event is on Sunday in Australia. Yeah, we're like 2 days out from the event. And look at the prices. I keep a very close eye on UFC ticket prices when they come down to Australia, because I want to know in my mind when I've earned enough money to be able to actually go to one of these things. And look at the price. They started off at $700 in the back row. Yeah, they are now down to $167. And look how many seats are available. There are seats everywhere, still ready to go. There are seats absolutely everywhere, ready to go. The arena is not filling up at all, and I'll tell you why. Because quite frankly, even at these prices, which have been massively slashed down, it simply is not worth it. Look at the date of when this has happened. That's the wrong screen to move. Look at the date of when this is happening, right? This is happening on Sunday 28th in Australia, yeah? Well, I'll just draw your eyes across to this. A month later, in the exact same city, is Eternal MMA in Perth. Now, check this out. For a box, look and see where the value for money is. For a box, it is $367. Now, I've been to one of these events. I've seen not an Eternal event, but a Hex event. They're pretty much the exact same thing. I have seen the boxes. The boxes are right on top of the cage with a little bar attached. So you can just stand on top of the cage by a glass wall and look down into the cage while you have got room to walk around and bullshit with your mates and bloody canapes, and there's strippers walking around serving drinks. It's a fucking phenomenal experience. It's a phenomenal experience. And it will cost you a month later, $367. Over in Perth, as close as you can still get to the cage, is more. It's $370. Why would you spend $370 for this seat when you could spend the same amount of money for a box a month later? And here's the thing, are the quality of fights really that fucking different? Check out, again, look at the card that we're getting in Perth, yeah? Look at the card that we are getting. Let us go to Jonathan Malkeith for an example here. Jonathan Malkeith was literally fighting at Hex 1 fight ago. Let's not even count the Contender Series. Let's X out the Contender Series here, because the Contender Series is just like a regional TV show, whatever. You know what I mean? A fight ago, Jonathan Malkeith was at Hex. And if you're a little bit confused, Eternal is north, Hex is south. We've got two regional promotions in Australia. The north of the country is all Eternal. The south of the country is all Hex, yeah? A fight ago, Jonathan Malkeith was the same fighter you could be watching in a booth for the same price as sitting in the nosebleeds over in... And he's not the only fighter. He's not the only fighter either. Cam Ralston, literally a fight ago, was at Eternal, the same event that will be a month later, for better seats at the same price. Navajo Sterling, how many fights ago? 2 fights ago, Navajo Sterling was at Hex. Tom Nolan, mate. 4 fights ago, was at Eternal. The exact same show. And again, Eternal and Hex are pretty much the same thing. Justin Tuffer. You have to fucking pay me to go and watch a Justin Tuffer fight, quite frankly. Fuck Justin Tuffer. Again, Jake Matthews, Jimmy Crute, they're towards the end of the career. This is the main card. It just falls apart at the main card. You might as well cross off Jake Matthews and Jimmy Crute. They're at the end of their career. And then Jack Jenkins, who I love because I watch Eternal. I watch every single Eternal card. Again, like, I love him. I do. He's essentially 50-50 in the UFC. He's our feature fight. You know, Jacko, you've got to learn to wrestle, brother. Please don't hit me if you see me down at the local pub, but I guess I'll just wrestle you. But a few fights ago, again, like, he's at, again, the exact same thing at Eternal, at Hex. They're interchangeable. You are charging us, the Australian fans, you are charging us overrated ticket. And before these numbers were slashed here, that you can see here at the top of the screen, before these were slashed, the nosebleeds back here at 306, all the way back here, these were $700 to start. These idiots, these fucking muppets who have all spent $700 to see this shit, they're retarded. They're absolutely retarded. Because a month later, you could be sitting in a glass box overlooking the ring, looking at pretty much the same quality of fighter. The exact same quality of fighter, and a way more fun night for what the UFC have been charging the Australians. That is why UFC Perth is falling apart, because we are so rich for MMA in this country. We have so many high quality fighters in this country. We are not accepting this bullshit from the UFC, and it's great to see. An Australian fight night card should have Urseg on it, Hooker on it, Robert Whittaker on it. You know why I know our fighters are so good? And I hate bigging ourselves up because it does sound so, like, just self-flagellatory. But our fighters are so good because you literally use them for fucking main events around the world, yeah? When the Saudi Arabians pay the UFC a $20 million site fee, who do they use? They use Robert Whittaker, they use Israel Adesanya, and they try and put Dan Hooker. Remember Dan Hooker versus Justin Gaethje for fucking Miami? The UFC's biggest marquee events, who do they call? They call the Anzacs. They call us, mate. When you need a fun fucking fight, you call the Australians and New Zealanders to give you a fun fucking fight. And then you come all the way down here to Perth and you shit out an overpriced Eternal card. And the Aussies have said, fuck off. And it's great to see. I'm so proud of the Australians. So, that is why the ticket prices are falling to shit. It is simply not worth it. And it's great. Anyway, enough of that rant. And you know what? It's interesting because the UFC do care about this. Like the UFC, they make a lot of their money on TV rights. They don't make it on pay-per-views. They do not make it on pay-per-views. But they make their money on TV rights. They make their money on site fees. And they make their money on ticket sales, right? Now, Australia pays a lot of money in site fees to the UFC. Here you can see that the New South Wales government, which is again the other side of the country, paid 16 million Australian dollars, so $10 million to the UFC to put on events over in Sydney for when we have UFC Fight Night in Sydney, right? Like, and the Perth government does the same thing. But if you are not selling tickets, right? If you are not filling up hotels, if you are not making it viable for the government to give you this much money, we're not paying you those site fees anymore. Like, this is a hit to the UFC. And yeah, they can keep doing regional shows around North America and Canada, and they'll be able to go and sell it to the next market, but they're not going to be able to do this forever. This is not sustainable forever. You have got to deliver a quality product, because by the time they bounce around the world and burn out all the site fees, they will eventually want to come back around to Australia, and the next time they come back around to Australia, the government is not going to offer them 16 million Australian dollars for a bullshit fight night card when Eternal are literally putting on the exact same fucking event in a warehouse. It's the exact same event. The fighters are 2 or 3 fights removed. It is the exact same fucking event, except you stick on Carlos Ulberg on the top, and all of a sudden it's worth $700 for the nosebleeds. Get fucked. So you are milking these site feeds dry by giving us these dead cards. You are killing off the Australian MMA fan base because they can't be bothered going to these fucking events, which they shouldn't. It is not worth it. It is not a good long-term business strategy for the UFC, and money is the only thing that the UFC give a fuck about. So this is a great result, and I would continue to support all the Australians that aren't going to this. It's great. That's enough of that. Anyway, this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Dougie. I make an MMA video all the time, and I go live all the time as well. If you want to know when I go live or when a new video drops, you hit that subscription button and the notification bell to get a little every time I go live, where we do great oh my god, the live stream yesterday, you should have seen it. It was a madness. It was a madness. We did the great fighter matrix again. Everyone loves the fighter matrix, where you score each fighter's attributes out of 10, and then you give them a rounded off number out of 100. Absolute chaos. It was great. So if you want to check all that kind of stuff out, hit the notification bell. Let me know, what do you, is it, I mean, I don't even need is it worth it to go to the UFC when it comes to your country when you have such good regional shows? No. Like, I don't see how it could possibly be fucking worth it when you get a private booth instead of a back row. Like, oh, the UFC is so dumb. They've completely priced themselves out of their own market. So there doesn't even need to be comments about that. And if you're one of the bloody legends of the channel, you're supporting, you're commenting, you're watching, you're in the Discord, you're buying other people's memberships, you're buying your own memberships, you're watching the membership videos, there's extra videos for members. Your names are up on the next slide to say thank you so much. And our picks competition winners that we have going in the live stream as well. Your bragging rights are up on the next slide too. Wherever you are, have yourselves a great day or a great night. I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.